Cool.
Okay.
More than mine.
More than mine. It's the best.
Yeah.
Più di me.
Okay. So we are official online. So now
Oh,
I'm going to
my
share.
man.
I'm going to share it on Facebook and put the tag on you.
Faccio libre?
Yes. Just a second. And we are ready. Ready to rock. Okay. Let me check if it's done and we can start.
Vai.
Okay, so I think we are ready to start. Ok?
Prontissimo, vai.
Perfetto. Amici di Drumword, buonasera a tutti. Questa sera torniamo in diretta di venerdì sera, tra l'altro con una mia vecchia conoscenza, un mio carissimo amico. Questa sera ci facciamo due chiacchiere con Mr. John Macaluso. Hi John.
Oh, first question, how does my hair look?
Better than mine.
Yours is looking good, man. Anyway, thanks for having me. This is going to be a blast. We haven't seen each other in a long time. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah. It's a pleasure. With this live stream, we had the chance to meet again after a long time, and we are here, of course, to talk about drums.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, thank you, man. Grazie mille.
It's my pleasure, bro. It's my pleasure. Allora, ragazzi, questa sera il focus principale dell'intervista sarà quello di parlare del nuovo metodo di John, che è uscito questa settimana per Hudson Music. Il metodo si chiama Linear Rock Drumming. Per chi non lo sapesse, John è uno specialista del linear drumming e quindi questa sera andremo a parlare un pochino nel dettaglio di questo. So, John, my first question is about your new drum book, Linear Rock Drumming, out now for Hudson Music. So, how did you start?
Moni, basta, Moni. Basta, vai. So, my dog's better Italian than me. Sorry. Let's go again. Let's go. Moni, basta. Okay. The new book, Linear Rock Drumming.
Yes. So,
I think the first time you came to my house, because you guys came from Rome, it was you, David, Spring, the whole familia. I think it was about 13 anni fa, 13 years ago, right? When you I think I cooked some lunch or cena. We had a big jam session, and I showed you the first pages of my drum book. So basically, I've been writing. So that's when it started. I'm not pigro. It's not like I'm lazy or I'm slow. I wanted to make a book that gradually built. So it's something so simple in the beginning, because linear is simple. When you think about it, it's all separate. You could play it really slow as a beginner. Easy. But the problem with any book, when you hit chapter 3, how far are you going to go? So basically, I redid the whole book maybe 6 times from beginning to end until I found that gradual spot. Like learning a language, you get the CD, learn Norwegian, and you put it in, vad heter du? No problema, whatever. But when you get like that language learning course, it jumps from beginner to really serious. I didn't want to do that with the book. I wanted gradual the whole way. So that's why it took so long. And finally, I felt it was ready, and I got signed with Hudson Music, who is amazing because it's probably the best publisher of drum books in the world. So I'm very happy.
Yeah.
That. And here I am. But you were there for the beginning, man.
Yeah, I'm so happy about it because I think that it's always great to see a book released from a big company like Hudson Music.
Yes, it's like I kind of needed this. Like I want to do the education thing, but let's be honest. Since COVID, everything changed. Where you might have made a living as a drum teacher or a clinician, playing clinics, playing seminars. After COVID, everything kind of changed. Pretty much when I met you and how I met you years ago, it was me traveling with. I was like Captain Findus without a boat. I would have my doppio pedale in one hand and my sticks and my piatti. And that's how we met. I would just go all around Europe on a train or somebody drive me to a clinic. And that's how I made my living. But everything kind of changed after COVID with the whole drumming clinic thing or even lessons. It's kind of like in today's world, everything is online. So everything kind of changed. And if you want to really do this for a living, you have to find ways before, I got my 10 drum students and my band. I mean, if you really want to make enough money to live, you have to find different ways to do it these days. And it's not easy for anyone. So besides doing studio sessions, I said, I need something different. I really need that book. So I really focused to get this thing done. And the more I focused, the longer time it took because I wanted to make it perfect. But finally, I'm very content and I'm happy with it. Yeah. So I'm here.
Yeah. And talking, I want to talk more about linear drumming. So I have a specific question for you. So when did you start to be interested in linear drumming?
There's an album from Rush called Hemispheres and the instrumental La Via Sangiano, right? And I forgot where it is in the song, maybe 2 minutes and something. Neil Peart goes to that breakdown section. And my teacher was a brilliant teacher, Jim Holland. And Jim Holland would say, okay, lessons those days were a half hour. So you got 15 minutes and 15 minutes. For 15 minutes, I'm going to read Nard. We're going to go through stick control. We're going to jump behind the kit. He's going to show me a cool fill. The other 15 minutes is what you want to know. So I brought in, we had the turntables behind us. I brought in the Hemispheres. I had it on picture disc, right? And I said, what is going on here? It sounds so complicated, but if I write it, it's actually less notes than going. How could it be more, but no, how could it be less notes, but sound more? And Jim explained this is called linear. And he says what's happening is when you hear the bass drum is solo, it's on its own. And everything between is filled in. And that it stuck in my head and I was interested, but the real story is this. Do you know a drummer named Sonny Emery?
Yeah.
Okay.
The guy that played with the Earth, Wind and Fire, right?
Of course, Bruce Hornsby, Earth, Wind and Fire. Let me tell you, man, you want to know badass? This guy changed my life and he doesn't know it yet. Because the book is basically, okay, all my teachers combined and me making a living. And even like when we did all those drum clinics, my main focus was basically linear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of changed my life. Not only in drumming, but in many ways. So what happened was when I was in California going to PIT, it was in Hollywood. And I think it was like the last month before we graduated. I think 1987. You were not even a thought at this time with your parents, okay? But I think it was the end of 86 or 1987. And my big 4 drummers are Joe Franco, Terry Bozzio, and Phil Collins. That's my ensalata. That's the batteristi I do insieme to get my style. So Bozzio was doing a clinic in Hollywood, and I said, I gotta go. And I didn't even know there was an opening act. And this guy came out I remember it was like the recording custom, and dude, he whipped it up. It was feel, it was groove. He was powerful. He hit the drums like a man. He was throwing the sticks in the air, catching it in his mouth, playing all this stuff. The tricks were not the thing that impressed me. What impressed me, I was always into Billy Cobham. So Sonny, he had the left hand on the hat a lot of times, and he had like 3 toms and I think 2 floor toms. And he was like, he wasn't just doing beats, he was making melodies, and everything sounded so complex, but still you heard this. That never stopped. The beat, the battle cry of my book is the beat remains the same. So this is what Sonny did. He kept the groove nonstop. That doesn't stop. And in between he was playing. I was blown away. I'm like, how could one man on stage make melody, keep a groove, and absolutely go crazy? Basta Mooney. So all I thought at that time, even before Bozzio, my hero, I'm like, I can't wait to get home. During the clinic, because I said, wow, I got ideas. And I just couldn't wait to go home and practice. And basically from that day on, I studied linear like crazy. And in the style of music that I usually got hired for, which is prog and metal, I play everything. You got to admit, it's not a lot of linear. It's still not a lot of linear. Because the style basically, I think, came from R&B and maybe some pop stuff. But yeah, Sonny was the biggest influence for linear, Sonny Emery. And that's what took it to a new level. And it was at the time when I felt, before I went to PIT, I was very Neil Peart, but everybody started to do it. When I went to PIT, I was Bozzio. When I saw Sonny, it was like a secret weapon. I'm like, the guys that I know don't know anything about this. So let's keep it quiet. Oh, that linear shit sucks. Don't play linear. You know what I mean? I'm being a pediculo. But basically, that is what kind of changed my whole world. Linear meets the Joe Franco double bass thing. And basically, I just blended all these styles together. But Sonny was the biggest influence on the linear thing. Sorry about the gigantically long answer.
No, that's what I want.
It's important. Where it came from.
Yeah, I think that the big deal with the linear drumming is that you can take a simple beat and move it into a linear beat. So everyone can play a simple linear beat and try to understand step by step how to play and use it.
The cool thing, okay, so my book is called Linear Rock Drumming, and originally it was called United Sounds of Separation. Now, I understand what that means, but when I started to shop to a publisher, they were like, well, what does that mean? So Joe Franco has been helping me. I always send, it's amazing because right now, Joe Franco, my teacher, is going through my drum book, which is now released. When I met Joe Franco, he was teaching me from his drum book that just got released. So we were talking about it. It's kind of like, it's funny how, everything kind of blended together. Like it's exciting to know that my teacher and mentor is going through my book, But let me explain a little bit. So Emiliano, you know what linear is, okay? Joe Franco was the one who came up with the idea of linear rock drumming. You're talking about the guy who has the #1 double bass book and best-selling, and just the only one that actually makes a system. So Joe Franco said, I love the book, I love this, I love this, I love the cover, everything's cool, but the title, it needs to be more simple. Now he wrote double bass drumming. So the original title was United Sounds of Separation. And Joe said, okay, but what about linear rock drumming? I was like, I'm sold, and it just makes more sense. So we put the subtitle, United Sounds of Separation, which what that means is in linear drumming, everything is separate. All the notes are separate. Nothing hits together. But as you go through the book, you start to unite all the separate sounds. And in the end, the final 23rd chapter is what you're building for. You're trying to actually write songs with your band, make music on the drums. You're uniting those separate sounds. So usually the drummer is the guy who just plays the rhythm and the band is writing the songs. There's 2 songs I put on the end of this video that comes with the book. And everything was written to the drums, from melody to rhythm to time signature. I sat with 3 guys in my sala prova, and I said, here's the beat. Or let's take a simple one. You still hear boom, boom, bop, boom, boom. Between, what is that hi-hat playing? That's my new world. With that, I can make a melody on a tom, boom, boom, kind of a corny melody. I tell my guitar player, play that melody. So he might go an octave up, you know what I mean? Down, 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 down. Bass player, play my foot. Dom, 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 dom. Keyboard player, play my snare drum. Dom, da. Now everybody together. Dum, dum, da, 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 dum, dum, da, da, da. So now I wrote the actual melody. I wrote the rhythm. I wrote the time signature. I'm a good lyricist, so I can write the lyrics. Basically, I wrote the song. So it's a way for drummers to actually get in and start. If you have a lot of percussion toys, you can make melodies on the bells. There's many things. So it's not just that the drummer now has to sit on a couch and say, hey, you guys almost ready? We ran out of beer. Let's go get more. But when you guys are done writing the song, now the drummer can be the first guy in to start writing the songs. So the whole book takes you through this process sonically, rhythmically, many different ways, and different ways you can do linear. There's basically 22 methods, systems, until you get to chapter 23, which is called songwriting. And that's when Sonny Emery blew my mind. He handed out at the drum clinic with Bozio a sheet of paper with six linear grooves. I think 4 of them went around the toms making a melody. As you got the groove happening, never stopping, your left hand on the hat, your right hand is free now. So basically, my whole book goes through many. In the end, it's about trying to actually make music on the drums. So again, sorry about the long answer. United sounds of separation. You're uniting the separate sounds. And that's what the whole thing is based on. And in the end, linear actually is fuller than hardcore, when you're hitting together. Because there's 2 different worlds. There's the beat world, boom, boom, bop. Never changes. The beat remains the same. Boom, boom, bop. If you turn the world upside down, tap, 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 tap. What you can do with that as a drummer is ridiculous. So that's my whole book in a nutshell. There's a lot of detail we could go into, but In the end, it's about trying to make your drum set an instrument and not just a rhythmic thing for musicians to follow or write to. It makes the drummer a musician. But there's an oxymoron.
Yeah. Good answers.
A little long, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, long.
It's hard to cut it.
Yeah, it's long, but it's full of interesting stories. I think it's better than the classical questions like, "Hey John, how you practice the paradiddle?"
Let me
I
see.
think
First I do my right hand.
exactly. John, I found on YouTube an interesting video about your linear stuff. It's called Electro Indian Spider Bites.
Okay.
I want to share this video now here on the live stream, and then if you want, explain something about it. Give me a second.
In Italian, we say, right? In us Italians, sorry, buon piano, good plan.
Okay, so
Electro Indian Spider Bites. See, Huni.
Okay, so let's go.
Electro Indian Spider Bites.
Yeah, I really love it because there are not too much strokes, but everything is focused just on the melodies. And I love because it's mixed between electronic stuff and acoustic stuff. So, how do you take the idea to create this really interesting beat?
I played tabla. I played tabla for a long time, but I'm really not any good. But I studied because tabla is not a drum. Tabla is almost like a harmonic on a guitar. You have to hover, you have to hit, it's so delicate. And even I like dynamics, but it's a very, very difficult thing to play. But I studied the rhythms, the Indian rhythms. I mean, Arc Burn the Sun is full of Indian rhythms, torn, many tracks. So I'm into that whole thing. The counting system, takatina, takita, takatina, takita, takita, takita.
Yeah, the canacol.
Yeah, so basically I get into it because a guy named Gustav Alaraka. He's was it good? Oh, okay. I think it was the son of Alaraka, and it's Zakir Hussain. He came to PIT, and this dude, there was a sitar player and someone who played the hurdy-gurdy. With two drums, he rocked everybody in that place. Just the two tablas, and I was so blown away where I got into the whole rhythmic thing about Indian music. So what you see in here, it's a chapter of my book I call Global Local Beats. And what Global Local Beats is, it's chapter, let me see here. Global Local Beats is chapter 17. When my whole life I've traveled around the world. I've been on tours and everything. I'm usually not a sightseeing guy because the band has to like get up early, and you know me, man. So basically, I would go around the world and do gigs, and then meet people, and afterwards go out and maybe go hang out with people, go to their place, go to parties, whatever. And when we did talk about drums or music, I would trade some grooves to them, like, you know, being from America, being from New York. And they would trade stuff to me, like in New Zealand it happened, in Japan, like all around Korea, all around the world, places I've gone. I met people, hung out with them, and got the real rhythms, not the touristy rhythms. And my return was to give them something back, some of my rhythms. So this whole chapter is basically stuff I learned from around the world, but then converting it to linear. So you're taking the cool thing is you're taking their traditional rhythm. In linear, nothing can touch, all right? So I do my version of what they taught me in linear, all right? You'll see, global local beats. So anyway, this electric Indian spider bites, obviously it's Indian influenced. I use the wave drum. I have set on the wave drum. I have like a sitar setting. I have my Mark drum over here, the Italian company Mark drum. Basically, I'm doing a crossover, like Neil Peart video, you know, Neil Peart, 16th notes, but nothing can touch. So I have my bass drum acoustic, and on the left foot, I have an electronic pedal, which is again Mark drum. And I have it set to like a hand drum, like so over here on the Mark drum, it's basically kind of a tabla sound or kind of a loose hand drum. I got the acoustic bass drum, I got all the bells, I got the electronic wave drum and the foot. So it's called four-way linear. And four-way linear in the book is chapter 11. Nothing is allowed to touch, but now you're using all four notes. So that whole thing you see in there, it might look like it's connected, but everything is separate. And the beauty of linear, because now you're still keeping that beat, but I'm allowed to go around and do bells. I'm allowed to do electronic foot first. As long as it doesn't touch, the gods of linear are with you. Yeah. So, yeah, but in the end, again, you're taking rhythm and now you're making music. I mean, I could take that piece and give it to a talented guitar player and say, write something to this. Yeah, and he can do it. And then you can put vocals, and basically it came from the drummer. What I'm trying to push on the whole book is dum dum da, is amazing. But if you really want to be part of a band, try to present something, try to write, try to do something. It's a beautiful instrument. There's melody, there's rhythm, there's music on that instrument. It should not only be about, you know, what song is that for? Huh? Be a musician. That's what the whole thing is. So, yeah, Electro Indian Spider Bites. Again, mixed like Bill Bruford on the Discipline album and Danny Carey. I like to blend electric and acoustic together. But you know me. You know it's hard for me to even work a cell phone. So thank God I had help setting up my electric drums. You know me, Emiliano.
Yeah.
So
really
there we
know.
go. Yeah. Again, there's a long answer, but you understand.
Yeah. But I think that these long answers are the best deal for all the people that will check this live stream, because I think that in this particular moment of the music scene, it's really boring to play always about technique and exercise. I think it's most important to talk about how to make music, because no one is talking about how to make music together.
No. You know what's happening, Emiliano? And I say it's a mistake. Yeah. We don't know when the pyramids were built. 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, my culo. That shit was built way back. And they lost the secret. How could you lose that secret? We're close. Look at Led Zeppelin. There will never be another Led Zeppelin. There'll never be another Frank Zappa if you continue using the tool that was meant to correct bad drummers, quantizing them, because the money ran out. You couldn't afford a producer anymore. Engineers were forced to make records with bands, and the band has a drummer for 5 years, even though he's not that great. He's a drummer. So you're not going to hire someone. A lot of my life, I was a ghost drummer, and I did a lot of records, and they paid me in pizza and a couple of bucks, and they put my name after the pizzeria. Thank you. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is Pro Tools and everything was kind of invented to correct the drummer who wasn't perfectly in time. It's a money saver. So they knew the band couldn't kick the drummer out. The drummer would come in and play, and the guy would now have control to fix his drumming. That was never meant to be a standard. I come from a family of artists. My whole family's all painters and drawers, and it's amazing. When Photoshop came out, boom, you didn't have to draw anymore. So you're cutting to the chase, and it's wrong what's happening. Because you teach, sometimes the students come in, and they tell me how they recorded their first album or what they did, and they play it for me. The guy's been playing for 3 months, and it's like, I'm like, wow, you sound good. Because the engineer pressed that talent button. Quantize. In the end, it's such a big mistake because you're using a tool that is meant to fix people as a standard. So it's affecting everything. And drum-wise, have you noticed that the drummer in Australia plays the same as the drummer in France? The same lick, the same week? I mean, when you're into drinking beer, they have the Beer of the Month Club, and it's delivered. It's the same with drumming now. The lick of the month. This guy does it. This guy does it. It's all internet. People are losing teachers, and they're not really studying. And the problem is, as a drummer, you should go. Try to be original. That's what it's about. Try to be original. Don't follow what this guy's doing, what this guy's doing. So again, what I'm trying to say is not only the music is lacking, but even the drumming. Like some of my students are like, when you recorded that album, you actually played for 10 minutes? I'm like, yeah. You pressed play. There was no chance of punching, and you recorded the 10-minute song. And you might have messed up a little bit in the beginning, but let's let the guitar cover it or something, because it's a great track. You had no choice but to record the whole way through. So in this case, old school is best school. The modern technology, in my opinion, is not only weakening music, but it's weakening the drummer. Drummers need a real teacher physically. Skype is cool, but when you got someone right next to you who is for an hour, you have to, drummers need to get back into that thing. Originality is everything. Or what do you have? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nothing. I think that a big problem today is that if you open YouTube or Spotify to listen some new music, there are too many great musicians, but the problem is the identity of the music, because today I can listen 5 different drummers and they sound all the same, because it is totally quantized.
Yeah, exactly. Morning. Also sound, Emiliano, think about this. If John Bonham, Neil Peart, Stuart Copeland, Alex Van Halen, those are like the 4 snare drums that are so noticeable. Instantly, it's John Bonham. Instantly, boom, 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 boom. Alex Van Halen, full of tape. Could you imagine if those 4 guys were around now and you pulled out the Stephen Slate sample program? Do you think the Police would have sounded like the Police?
No.
Do you think that Led Zeppelin would have sounded like Led Zeppelin? I mean, the sound is almost as important as the drummer and what they're playing. And it's all in the snare drum. It's all in the snare.
Yeah.
And, not only drumming wise and feel and quantize and all that stuff, but sound, having an original signature sound. A lot of people kind of forget about that,
Yeah.
Super
For example, yesterday I was coming back to my home after the work at the music school, and I was listening an old album from a power metal band from Germany called Running Wild, an album from 1995.
Uh-huh.
And when I was listening, I start focus myself on the drums, and I say, "Oh, it sounds like I'm in front of the drummer when I
Isn't
listen,
that
because
beautiful?
it was so fucking powerful. The snare drum has a really big sound,
In the
full
room.
of full of the room sound, and I say, "Wow, it sounds more better than the stuff out 1 week ago with all the quantized drums."
Right? In Italiano, mi manche.
Yeah,
Mi manche. Anch'io. It's like, okay, the whole thing in a nutshell to me is like when you're miking my drums and you're going to do panning and you're doing the snare sound. I mean, in the old days, we would have a snare and the producer or the engineer, okay, John, let's give me snare. Bum. Dude, I'm talking 6, 7 hours. Bum, bum. We had to change the head after the sound check. Sometimes it was almost a full day just working on part of the drum kit. Like these days, that doesn't happen. But I forgot what I was going to talk about. Yeah, but basically, sound and playing is a way for a drummer to work in this business. Yeah, because having that signature sound, getting called for that, there's nothing more flattering than that, first of all. But there's so many monster drummers now because they watch the videos, they skipped what me and you had to do. You know what I mean? Like you had to learn from books and even before, you know what I mean? And now you can click on something and boom, there's the video right in front of your face. So yeah, I mean, it's the way it is. Technology is completely taken over, but I guess you got to roll with it, you know?
I think there's a big difference between watch a video tutorial on YouTube or a drum solo on YouTube than listen it live. The feel is totally different. I remember that the first time I watched Iron Maiden live was during the X Factor tour. Was one of my first big concerts, and I wasn't a drummer. I was just a fan. Yeah. I remember I was in the first line of the crowd. The band starts playing, and I start screaming like a crazy chick when I saw Steve Harris. I was like, yeah.
Foot on the monitor. He's got the foot on the monitor.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then I start to focus my attention on the drum, because the sound of the bass drum was kicking here me. I was like boom, boom, and I say, wow, it's like a tank. Yeah,
big time.
And then imagine I was like 15 years old. I was watching this drummer covered by this big drum set, and I say, "Oh yes, yeah.
Nico,
I want to do this. I want to do this." Always smiling.
Exactly. So inspiring. Well, you know the stories that I worked with him for a while. Like Nico managed one of the bands I was playing with. So I mean, I traveled everywhere with him. Like we would have such a blast, and still it blows me away. I mean, the first time I had him in my car, I had to pick him up somewhere, and I got Nico here, and it's me and Nico, and I'm like, I was calling friends saying, "Dude, look out the window in about 10 minutes. I'm passing by with someone, and I'm going slow through the neighborhoods." And Nico was like, "Mate, when are we going to go to the hotel?" I'm just trying to show my friends I'm with Nico McBrain. You know what I mean? But I saw the Number of the Beast tour with Bruce and Clive Burr. It was incredible. And it was a small theater in Long Island called North Stage Theater. And I think it was maximum 3,000 people. And it was so sick. It was beautiful. And he was a punk drummer.
Yeah.
Even though you heard like boom da but da, he was like the Ramones. Always ripping. That's not easy to do, man. Murders in the room on me, you know. You like that?
Yeah, he was super fast with the single stroke roll and with the right hands on the hi-hat. And for example, how the sound of Cliff Bar was super original. When you put one of the three Iron Maiden first album, you say, oh, that's Cliff.
Instantly. Because, I mean, I remember what we were talking about. Let's bring it back to that whole thing of when you are in the room with a drummer. Basically, when I record, my only, like what I tell the engineer, okay, it's a great sound here. It sounds beautiful. Now let's go in the control room. I want you to bring this thing here in the control room, because I've been recording for 48 years or something like that. And you'd be amazed. Big money productions, 5 hours in the live room, hitting snare, tom, tom. When I go into control room, it's like, beep, 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 I'm like, it sounds like a Bontempi. It sounds like a Casio watch. I'm like, what have you been doing for 5 hours? So my whole point when I'm recording, like in my studio, we're very into the room mic. We got really great room mics, because you might have a great sound, but adding that room mic, try to get this whole sound into that control room. And when you listen to Zeppelin, the reason I can listen to Zeppelin now, tomorrow, and the next day, because you're literally in the room with John Bonham. And that's the beauty of it. Like, you are there. And you don't get that from a quantized sample. I could listen to metal albums twice and stop. I'm done. The cymbals are too low. It's all quantized, no matter how great the drummer is. It's the same sound, the same snare drum. When you listen to Zeppelin or the Police, you feel like you're in the room with those guys. And that's the beauty. And I think that's the success, because every listen, you could get something different. I mean, do you agree that metal has become disco?
What, excuse me?
Do you agree that metal albums have become disco? It's kind of like,
No.
it's kind of like the 80s thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
everything is put so. We need more live and freedom in in these records, in my opinion. You know?
My point of view is that I'm trying to listen a lot of new music, but it's really difficult for me, because every time I come back to listen something old, because it sounds true. It sounds true. 2 days ago, I listened to old metal albums. The first Iron Maiden album,
Oh, I love it.
and then I listened the first Metallica album, because I was thinking about, let me hear how it sounds. They sounds really raw.
Yeah.
There were no big productions, but the music totally punch it on your face when Prowler starts. Boom!
Boom.
And you
The
say,
music conquered.
"Whoa!"
Unbelievable. And you never get sick of it. You could pop on
Never,
Maiden One right
never.
now, and you're like, oh my God. I don't know, man. It's yeah, it's a new world, and I just hope this basically, Emiliano, if I was going to be the new singer of Shores of Null, I can do it in the studio. Imagine I sing like Kermit the Frog, but if I want to sing on your new album, with technology, you could make me a superstar.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You could like, that's pretty crazy, man. It is. It's crazy. But let me tell you a little about my book here. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you got something specific you want to ask or talk about.
Yes, because you were talking about some special contents on your book, just not only exercise, but also some video stuff, music stuff. So tell something more about it.
Okay, basically, Joe Franco called it the battle cry. Joe Franco is my favorite drummer on the planet. He was my drum teacher, and he said, like, when I finished the book, I sent it, and he was kind of like tweaking. John, I think you should do this. I think you should do this. And he said the battle cry of your book, which means like the main focus of your book, is no matter what you play, it's the same beat as intended. Walk This Way, for example. Take away the hi-hat now and play kick and snare. Boom, ba, ba, boom, boom, ba. Between. Again, that's a new world. I talked to you about making melodies. I can do that. But as the book goes on, I start to get into like crazy concepts, like a thing called mirror beats, which is great. And the way I discovered it was, as usual, you know me, I don't wake up too early, and I had to go record a session. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to go fix my hair before the session because there might be cameras. But so anyway, I'm in the bathroom and I'm brushing my teeth and I got the manuscript book in my left hand. And I look and I have the session, the main beats written out. The top beat, number one, as I'm brushing my teeth, I'm looking and it's in reverse because it's in the mirror. And I go, wait a minute. This is an idea. I wrote down the original beat and I put it in front of the mirror and I realized I could play this 3 different ways. I'm going to take 2 measures. I got the original measure, boom, ba, ba, boom, boom, ba. Second measure, I'm going to start beat number 1 on the last beat of the first measure. So now I'm going to go backwards. So I get to hear the second measure is this measure, but completely reverse. That's one way to do mirror beats. The second is the opposite, the 2 different worlds. Let me think of an example. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I could start now doing one measure. Now this measure, I'm going to change it sonically. So if the first measure ends with a hi-hat, this measure here starts with a kick. So that you're vertically reversing things. So horizontally. It's the same amount of, it's the same exact beat, but sonically it's different. Because if it's a hi-hat here, on the next measure, it's a kick drum. So now you're completely reversing it. That's mirror beats. That's one chapter. I have a thing called stairway linear. All right? Let's just take, again, a quick example. Aerosmith, Walk This Way, boom. Ba, ba, boom, boom, ba. Now have this rhythm. Now I can try, I'm going to play the same beat, but start on my floor tom, then go to my ride cymbal, then go to my ride bell, back to the ride cymbal, back to the floor tom. Like Queen, We Will Rock You, Queen. I could use I call it 2-story house is between floor tom and ride cymbal. My right hand can do 1 hit on each sound source. It can do 2 hits. It could do 3 hits. It could go 4 hits. And for each hit, you could bring in another percussion toy. So now you could have 4/4, and if you want, you could put 7/8 on top. You know what I mean? You decide. So you're basically going up the stairs and down the stairs. I mean, that's one way to do it. And let me see. I got a double bass chapter. I have a triplet double bass chapter. We got stairway linear, the global local beats. Then I have a section called rolls, roughs, and drags, is where you're actually breaking out your rudiments. You know, you could use the rudiments. In the end, everything has to be separate, which in the end of my book, that is the advantage, because all the separate notes now can make something different than that main beat. And last point of this, okay? You know Michael Romeo from Symphony X. So
Yes.
I did Mike's 2 solo albums, War of the Worlds 1 and War of the Worlds 2. And I recorded them in San Marino, you know? And Mike is in New Jersey, so we had to work remotely. We had to work between phone calls and Skype or whatever. And Mike said, I wrote the stuff with you in mind, but follow it as close as possible. He would make a demo and he would send it to me. And he would say, you can do what you want. You can do caffone. You can do whatever you want to do with your linear stuff, but try to follow my bass drum rhythms the best you can. If the bass drum is in 16th notes, don't do triplet You know what I mean? Basically, just be smart with it and keep my basic groove. So me and Simone Maloroni, my great friend, the engineer who did the records with me in San Marino, we would kind of break down this rhythm. And we would listen to Mike's drum machine. How many notes can I fit in between? So basically, I'm using a lot of his crazy rhythms, but between is linear. Monet! Between is linear, which I use a lot on bells and everything. And it's the first album where I got into actually trying to cop his guitar riffs, meaning trying to do some of his riffs on toms. I'm a big Bozio fan, but I never really did that. So with the Romeo albums, it's the perfect example of how I do linear actually on an album. Those two albums. And the first Arc album is filled with linear, you know. Mooney! Sorry, dude.
No problem. Your dog is always welcome. Okay, so I want to talk more about linear because I have another clip on YouTube of you playing this. And this is about prog style. And this is prog style old-time linear pattern in the studio. I think it could be a great example for the people to understand your stuff. So let's share it. Okay, we are ready.
Hey, John, I think back a little bit. I want to see what you.
I forgot there was Mooney.
Yeah.
Like, of the video.
Right when you hear something serious and you expect me to break it down, like, well, it's a halftime, you know, you'll see Mooney and me doing something stupid, and there you go. But that groove in the book, it's melodic because I'm using the melody thing, but it's all in. It's 12. It's subdivision. I think. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say, I think it's 7 and 5, and I'm blending the odd time with the actual melody. If you gave that video to like a great keyboard player, tomorrow he could come back with a song, and you pretty much did everything. You know, you did everything. He has to just decipher what you're trying to do, and it's a perfect example of how you can start writing. You know, as a drummer. You know?
Yeah, and I think that this stuff is so inspiring because if you listen with great attention, you can focus just on what your bass drum and snare are doing, and then think about, okay, let me think about how John put all the stuff in the silence between snare and bass drum, because you do it like toom, to ka-toom, toom. We have a lot of space to fill in.
Exactly. I appreciate you. Like you totally get it. Imagine this now, Emiliano. Double bass linear. There's so many notes on the double kick and the snare where you only have a certain amount of hands you can do. So I look at it as like in the ocean. Let's say you're like in the South Pacific somewhere and you see the island is like Mongumbu. It's next to Fiji. You know what I mean? That is your hands in a double bass linear beat. Tiny little Pacific islands, but make those Pacific islands count. Let's just say you got a busy bass drum pattern. All you have is this. You could either look at it as like, oh, that's kind of boring, or that could be your new world. boom. Now you start to get these crazy ideas. When you play busy on the bass drum, it totally messes with your brain in the beginning, because you find with linear, your right hand is only. But the point to my double bass chapters is make those 3 notes count. Make them beautiful. Try to do something with them instead of just playing them on the hi-hat. You know? So it's kind of like the reverse of what you would usually do with linear. You know? Now the bottom is the heavy part. Usually with linear, it's more exciting on top. But now you're changing that world. So you got the busy stuff, and the hand is sparse, not that many notes. So it's just another theory about linear. I write in with every chapter, there's 2 paragraphs, not only about how to go through it, but where it might have been learned from and what you can do with it. So when I'm playing the double bass linear, those little 3 notes, I try to be as orchestrated as possible. You know, if I have an electric drum, I set it on like bomb, or like, you know, timpani, boom. I want those things to really stick out. And that's, again, it becomes musical. So you can present it to your band, and the guy's like, wow. But any guitar player who writes to what you send them in the morning is going to say, guys, check out what I wrote last night. You get me, man. You get me.
And John, you're talking about working with a band, but I have a question for you. Do you have a new band now?
Well, you know, I've been going on tour. I actually haven't been touring in the last couple of years. I toured with Jennifer Batten, and I did some other small tours. Jennifer Batten I will always tour with. She's the best, one of my best friends. But again, I'm not trying to be like Mr. Prima Donna, but even touring has changed. Meaning, you know, what used to be land in Miami and you're going to rehearse tomorrow, and you got your hotel, we're going to relax. Okay, we're going to go get some lunch. Boom. The tour starts in 20 days. We're going to rehearse like crazy. That is gone. That's like gone, unless you got, like my buddy Matt Logg, he's playing an AC/DC. That's a whole nother story. Not the AC/DC cover band, but my buddy's in AC/DC. So what happens is everything kind of got a little really, really super, I hate to use the word low budget, but you know, usually now you fly in, and me, I'm like a hired guy. So they're like, John, just you know, learn the songs, and we're going to rehearse in sound check. And that became like the norm, where it's really not tight band. And you know, that whole time of like, let's rehearse like crazy, we're going to go on tour, we're doing this. I don't know, man. A lot of calls, but it's for kind of like, jump in tomorrow, we need you for 3 days, you know, but I'm on my couch for 2 weeks learning the stuff. So basically everything has changed in a way with touring. So me personally, life goes quick and life goes fast, and I realized, oh my God, the last real band I put together was Ark, and it was 25 years ago. And then I did Stone Leaders, but that was more like just a project. You know, I wrote lyrics and co-produced. And so I said, it's now or never. Get back to making a new band. Get back to making a new album. Well, I'm going to play. I'm going to co-produce. I'm going to co-write. I'm going to a band that is going to go on tour. So I was getting messages from a guy named Mike Abdow, and he plays for Fates Warning. And I knew Fates Warning because in 1989, Power Mad, a band I was touring with, we opened for them for like a week. Mark Zonder was on drums, and it was a phenomenal band. And then, of course, we all knew Fates Warning. So Mike, the guitar player, kept writing me and going, man, we should really do something. We should really do something. And I'm like, I want to do it, but just give me some time. I got to finish the book. And the book was going on for years and years. And I said, I don't want to lose this guy because he's super tasty. He's amazing. And he just seems like a real nice guy. So eventually, I started to work with him. And he would send me some tracks, and I would record and send them back. And then we did another method where I would record a whole arrangement, like I did my solo album, just drums. And I send it to Mike, and he writes to it. And he sends it back, and I might critique. Before we knew it, we have 8 songs, and it's killer. And now we got a bass player, went in. So it's me, Mike, and his bassist now. There's a couple of singers we're checking out. It's not like we're not really set yet with the singer, but the band is called Fall Past Earth. Fall Past Earth. And what we want to do is make a real band. It's not about like making a project and a split screen video. I understand today is difficult. You know, sometimes you never even meet the guy you're recording with. But with me and Mike, I said, I'm in Italy, you and the bass player are in Massachusetts, like close to Boston. Let's get a singer that is from New York, New Jersey, whatever, in that area, and I fly over and we do a real band. So that's what we're doing. You know, I'm going to be the guy that travels back and forth, and it's a new band. It's my new baby. The music is sick. Mike is super cool. I met him last time I was in New York. He came from Connecticut, took the ferry. We hung out all day. Great guy. And that's it. It's time for a new band. It's time, you know, I'll always record for people, but I think it's time for a new band, but make it a real band. We can record the album, do everything, get the record deal, whatever, and go on tour, or at least play gigs, because you know what I'm saying, man? Life goes quick, and it's too, you know exactly what I'm saying. I think I finally got my writing guy, like an arc, me and Tor Osby. No matter what I think of the personal stuff, as a writer, he's brilliant, and we have telepathy. Those arc albums were me and him wrote. It was me and him constantly. We wrote all the music, me and him. And with Mike Abdow, I get me totally. So I'm really psyched about the new band, Full Past Earth.
Cool. So I hope to listen something soon, and I wish you to find a good record deal and go on tour with those guys.
I mean, stylistically, it was weird how it came about, because the first thing I gave him to write to was kind of like Absolute Zero in a way, where I'm playing kind of really fast 16th notes, jungle style. And it was like a halftime jungle groove, if that even exists. But in my opinion, halftime jungle. I sent that groove to him, and he sent me back the coolest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, oh my God, how cool is that? At that moment, I said, this is the guy to write with, you know, Mike Abdow. So yeah, I mean, I'm super psyched. The music, it's a lot of electronics, but we make the loops. The difference in this band is I might get behind a drum set and play some weird bell thing, or like Ringo Starr, I put a tablecloth on top of my snare, and we make some loops so it sounds electronic. The loop is quantized, but now the real musicians come in, or the real music. And I completely play free. There's nothing touched. There's nothing put in line, but I'm playing to the loop. So the cool thing is the result in the end, it sounds electronica, but it doesn't sound like fake drums, because it's not fake drums. So it's kind of the opposite of what the Prodigy or Bjork, you know, those are actual drum machines. We're making a loop, but we make the loop between his guitar pedals and bad example, but we make the loop, and then I play to the loop. So and so does Mike. Nothing is like quantized, put in line. So it's kind of cool, because it's like 9 Inch Nails meets Porcupine Tree with a little bit of prog. You know, I think that's a good description. You know,
yeah,
I think you're
cool.
gonna dig it. You're gonna dig it, man. It's very deep. It's very deep. It's cool. I'm psyched, man.
Cool,
He's brilliant.
man.
Yeah, he's a brilliant. You know Fates Warning, of course, right?
Yo, sure.
So we did the Perfect Symmetry tour, and I was with this band Power Mad, and 1989. And I remember the first gig, like the drummer was badass. I'm like, who is this guy? I got to open for this guy every night. And it wasn't like I was playing my thing. It's easier if you're doing your thing, but I had to play a set pattern from another band, and but Zonda killed it. It killed the whole band. Killed it. It was so great to watch these guys. Perfect Symmetry was the album, was the tour that we did. Perfect Symmetry. Yeah.
Yes, he has a great sound, and the first time I heard him, yes, a friend of mine gave me the CD of the album Parallels.
See.
And I say, wow, this guy on the drums really kick ass. And then the first time I saw him live, I say, wow, he played with the traditional grip.
Exactly. And I remember like double stroke rolls on a hat, like I always did in the past, like TNT and all these bands. And I'm watching the guy traditional doing these cool grooves, and just also GMS. He had a GMS drum set, and I was using Yamaha at the time. And I'm from Long Island, where GMS is made. And I went up to him. I'm like, "Yo, Mark, what drums are they?" At the company in Long Island. I'm like, "Long Island? I'm from Long Island. Where are all these guys?" Later on, I ended up endorsing them. But yeah, he was the first guy I've ever seen with a GMS drum kit, and it sounded beautiful live, man.
Yes,
just a killer drummer and a killer band. So Mike is one of the Fates Warning guitarists, but I don't know the story. Bobby Dzombek was a drummer, or still is, I'm not sure, but he's with George Strait, right? Bobby Dzombek, yeah.
Yeah,
I think he plays with the country singer George Strait.
Yes.
And he was the Fates Warning guy. So I think, I don't know what they're doing, but just put it this way. I can't wait for you to hear this stuff. It's the recording is one of those recordings. You know what I'm talking about. You could actually hand to someone and say, check this out. Without going, song number 2, my bass drum could have been a little tighter and the hi-hat could have been louder. With this band, I'm like, check it out and call me in the morning.
I know, but I think it's time to stop to listen the album just to say, check the hi-hat, check the bass drum. I think it's time to come back and say, check the song. How much is cool the song?
Sometimes you put stuff on the internet, and right away it's the guy in his mother's basement going, he's a good drummer, but what a snare sound. That's so horrible. And then the whole post becomes about your snare drum. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Everybody's a producer these days. But what about checking the song?
Yeah.
Do you dig the song? Isn't that everything?
Okay, now I tell you a fun story. Listen, I think it was like 2 years ago. I was checking a Facebook group about drums, and a guy wrote, "Hey, how much is horrible the sound of the drums on the album Back in Black from AC/DC?" And I wrote, "What?" Yeah, because it's too acoustic.
Oh my! This is what I'm saying, brother. Do you know now we're recording and people are buying apps and programs and everything to make it analog? I'm like, what the hell did you get rid of it for? You got now it's pretty much everything is digital, but let's destroy that and get a program that can do that. The whole thing is twisted, man.
Yeah. And I wrote him on the answer, and I say, okay, man, take a breath, listen the album, and now go to check on internet how much copies this album sold with this horrible drum sound, in your opinion, and now check how much copies you sold of your album with all that quantized drums.
Eccolo.
This is
I mean,
the answer.
and of course, you didn't answer. Do you agree if a song came out now and it was Charlie Watts playing on it, no matter what it is, that those people will comment, sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. They got so used to this. They got so used to it where any little slip, which is beautiful, having as long as you're playing live, but playing the same amount of wrong in the same spot every time, technically you're not wrong. But if you do some of this stuff now, immediately you're insulted. Oh my God, he's sloppy. I don't like. It's always like I don't like the crash sound. I don't like the floor tom sound. Scicazzi.
Yeah. It's because today no one take care about how old the music of the band sounds.
What about drum tuning? If you're going to tune your drums for half a day and then put a sample, like why did you waste a half a day?
Yeah.
Emiliano, you could tune a piano, you could tune a drum, but you can't tune a fish.
Yes. True. Down.
I miss you, man. It's been a long time, years since we got together. We did such cool stuff together, me and you. We had a blast. We had a blast, man.
Yeah.
We got to do a real Roman diet again.
Yes. Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know what a Roman diet is, it's kind of like when you hear, I'm going on a seafood diet. What, you're only going to eat fish? No, when I see food, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, but you tried the real Romano dieta in the 2 months and a half you spent in my house.
And a gigantic cappuccino. Cappuccino gigante.
Yeah, you remember.
In your beautiful country, to this day, when we go, maybe my wife wants to have aperitivo, she's got the patatini, you got the... And I, at 5 o'clock, want a cappuccino. The whole country laughs at me. Cappuccino, John, is it illegal to have a cappuccino after 12 o'clock in the afternoon? What's the law here?
If you like it, where's the problem?
That's what I say. Tell her that. She's like this, John. Anyway, Emiliano, one thing, you can get my book. It's an ebook now. Do you think when we finish, you could pop the link up there, or should I just tell people you can go to hudsonmusic.com and click my name, John Macaluso.
I just did it during the live stream. You can check it.
That's why you get paid the big bucks. That was quick and that was pro. Bravo, my friend.
No, ragazzi, allora una cosa molto molto importante, adesso lo rimetto qui in condivisione per tutti. Allora, adesso ragazzi, veramente chiedo la vostra attenzione perché guardate qui. Allora, da qui noi possiamo vedere il libro di John, ok? Allora, ragazzi, considerate che questo libro contiene una quantità di materiale didattico veramente pazzesco. Ci sono gli esercizi, le parti musicali suonati con la band di video. Ora, io mi vorrei soffermare, ragazzi, sul prezzo, perché stiamo parlando di $15,99 per un libro che veramente ci fate di tutto. Ripeto, il link lo trovate qui nei commenti e da questo lo potete tranquillamente acquistare. Tra l'altro poi sul sito della Hudson Music trovate tantissime cose super interessanti, quindi non lasciatevelo sfuggire. Soprattutto per tutte le persone che sono qui in zona Roma, comunque nel Lazio, John si trova a Rieti, quindi se qualcuno volesse studiare con John, vi basta contattarlo su Facebook e potrete studiare con qualcuno che ha registrato più di 300 album, che ha suonato con artisti come Art, ecco, anche di più perché io sono rimasto al vecchio numero, ma insomma avete l'occasione di studiare dietro casa con un batterista che ha suonato con tantissimi artisti, quindi che volete di più?
Check out the book. You're going to love it. I'm actually Emilio, I've been doing some Skype lessons for the first time in my life, and I love it. I love it. It's cool because I'm behind my drum set, and the student is behind their drum set, so you feel safe. Like, you know, I don't know about you, but behind my drums, nothing could hurt me. The real world is dangerous when you get off the drum stool. So the cool thing about lessons is I'm in my comfort zone. Student is in his comfort zone. And like, I never did Skype until this year, and it's a great thing. So if anybody's interested, teach you what you want to learn. You know, if anybody's interested, they could go to my website, which is johnmacaluso.com. And I think it's in, the contacts or you'll find it. But the information to contact me if anyone wants to study drums.
Allora, già che ci siamo, vi metto anche questo, ragazzi, in sovraimpressione, così lo trovate facilmente e sta qui nei commenti. Eccolo qua.
Bravo. How'd you do that? Yabba-dabba-doo. Sto scherzando.
Quindi ragazzi, tramite qui nei commenti avete tutti i link, sia per acquistare il libro Linear Rock Drumming, sia per tutte le informazioni su John. C'è qui il link del sito internet. John è disponibile per delle lezioni online su Skype o comunque sia, vi basta contattarlo su Facebook per qualsiasi cosa e avrete l'opportunità di lavorare con lui. Ok, bro.
Wait, what was I going to tell you? I forgot something from the past. I completely forgot. Anyway, sorry, man, can't remember. So you got to tell me when we could get together. You come up here in Rieti, or I come to Roma. If you come here, I can be the Ciccerone. But you've seen everything here. You've seen the Cacciota in the Umbilico of Italia. You've seen the river. That's it. So I'll meet you in Rome.
Yeah, no. We really need to meet again.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man. And what's up with you in the bands? Are you still doing the instrumental band?
No, unfortunately not. No. Now I'm working only with Shores of Null, and we are really focused on some really good projects for the future. So now I'm just focused on it, and let's check what happened in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot going on. I understand, but you've been with those guys for a long time, and they're your great friends. So, yeah, I mean, it's difficult. A lot of work goes into it, having a band.
Yeah, but we are really happy because it's more than 10 years we are working together, and always with the same lineup.
That's cool. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, really good. It's like to stay in another family.
Exactly. Oh man, are you still living at the same place? You still in the same area?
Yes.
What's up with the weightlifting, man? Are you're like, now you've gone on your training and you're coaching people?
Yes.
Bravo.
Thank you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's something new. I really like it. It's really inspiring.
And how long do you go a day? You go an hour or more when you go to gym?
Three times a week. For 3 really heavy sessions is like 2 hours and a half of training.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you go sweat on the Batteria, so you're like, you know, a lot of exercise in a day.
It helps a lot because it gives me more endurance capacity on the instrument.
Cool. Of course, it makes you feel better, man. I got to get back in action, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to get back in action. But we need to hang out. So basically, we got the book, we got the band, and we're doing the Skype lessons. And Arc Burn the Sun, we're putting out on vinyl.
Woo!
And it sounds incredible. So we're doing vinyl, and I think it's in about 2 months it's coming out. And also, and if you remember picture discs, you might be too young, but the vinyls came as a vinyl, and if you're really a big fan, you would get the picture disc, which is, you know what it is. It's the cover of the album. So we're doing Arc Burn the Sun, and it just sounds amazing. Only on vinyl, man.
Yeah, super cool. How it will be available?
It's a company from Italia, and it's a vinyl of the Living Dead.
Okay.
You can check them out.
Perfect.
You see, and yeah, we did the first album. The cool thing about the first album is Simone Moleroni, my amico that did the Romeo albums with me, and San Marino, he mastered it. So the first Arc album is actually a demo we did in a school gymnasium, which actually worked out cool because it was great acoustics, but we were only expecting it as a demo. It was done on like 1/4-inch reel-to-reel tape. So the mix was the mix. Simone went in to master the vinyl for Arc 1, and it's a lot more Ciccone. It's got a lot more punch to it, you know? So the first album is released, and now Burn the Sun is next.
Cool. Yeah.
Basically, that's it. I'm playing with my dog and cats. Mooney, vieni qua. Vieni qua. Mooney says, mi manchi, Emiliano, mi manchi. Guarda. Oh, it's Emiliano, Mooney. Look at him. Look at him. He's big, man, grosso.
Yeah, it's a big dog.
He could kill a wolf, man. That thing could like rip into you. He's a beautiful dog, but just don't get him mad. He's like a Sicilian. My dog. Well, he is because he's my family. He's actually from Basilicito. No joke. He's from Potenza. They found him in Potenza, Mooney.
Yeah. I remember the story.
Hey.
I also remember when he was a puppy.
Incredible, right? What a puppy.
Yeah,
He
becomes giant.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, look at that. They call it vita da cani. He's better than our.
Oh yeah, a dog's life, but a cat's life is better. I never had a cat. I hated cats my whole life. When we got Mooney, I went to the vet. He had to get like the shot, right? And the veterinarian comes and she's got the white Chaka, Dottore, and she pulls out a cat, like a kitten this big, and she puts it to Mooney's face, and they like kiss. And I'm like, okay, wrap it up. I'll take it home. It was like a pair of shoes. Okay, just wrap them, put them in the box. I'll take the cat too. And that was my first introduction. Now I'm obsessed. I love cats. I got 4. It's
4?
just like, I got 4 cats and a big dog. Sometimes if I have nothing to do, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? Nothing. And I sit on the couch and I just watch him. And it's a beautiful part of life, man. It's crazy what happens in an animal world when you're not involved. Things are good, Emiliano. Things are good. I miss you, man. We really need to get together. And I thank you for doing this.
Yeah, we got to do something together in the future again.
So, I recorded something for you. I think it was your boss. It was the guy from Vertigo.
Yeah, but now it no longer exists.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Because I recorded some like techno-y tracks, spacey for him. It's amazing. I never even knew he played anything. He sent me some tracks, 3 songs. I was blown away. Just like really techno-y and, spacey. Really cool, man. Oh, so that's done, huh? No more Vertigo?
Yeah, no, because they changed the name and the owners have, like, I think it was like maybe 10 years ago. But
Oh, wow.
then during the COVID, they closed the activity.
Yeah. My God, a lot of things changed, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Demanda to you before we stop. Did you
Yeah.
ever get to go? Did you tour in America, or you just like went Miami and went on the boat? Did you ever get to go around my beautiful big
No,
country? Oh, you're freak, man.
unfortunately not. Just on the boat, and it was more like a vacation than
Yeah.
play, because we did 2 shows in 4 days,
Huh?
and the rest of the time was chilling on the boat, watching
good.
watching other bands.
Working
And,
hard, man.
yeah, and we spent one day in the Caribbean in Puerto Plata, and
Did you go in the Bermuda Triangle? About Bermuda? Did you go Bermuda
no,
Triangle? No?
no.
Dude, I'm petrified of the ocean, man. You would never get me out in that
Yeah,
thing. You would never get me, no matter how big the ship is.
yes. I'm still here, so obviously we don't pass on the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly, you made it, man. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I got a call once from a guy, and he said, I don't know what cruise it was. Now they have different ones, like 50 tons of metal, 800,000 pounds of metal. And maybe it was the big one. And the guy contacted me and he says, John, I want you to do this thing. Like, I'm going to pay, you could come in, you do one gig. It's like 45 minutes long. And then you got the rest of the time, you got a hotel and you got Miami. You could bring your girl. You could stay on the ship. We got a beautiful cabin for you. Everything is great. We pay for everything. But you got to play Yngwie Malmsteen songs. Okay, I play with Yngwie. I'm like, who was it with? Some of the original Malmsteen guys. I'm like, I really don't want to do that. You got all these great bands, and I go out and I got to play in a band, which is people from a band I was in. You know what I mean? I wasn't into it, but I said okay. The next morning, I wake up and I tell my wife, because he said I could bring Manu. Right? Manu, to go on a cruise, and I'm gonna do a 45-minute set, and everything's paid for. Let's take a little vacation. And she's like, cruise where? In the ocean? And both of us stop like this, like, yeah, you're right. This is a bad idea. And I canceled it. I'm like, there's no way I'm going in the ocean like that, man. I'm petrified.
You don't like the ocean?
When I was a kid, this is crazy. My parents took me. We were in Florida. New York people go to Florida when you're vacation for the kids and before they die. That's the 2 visits to the Americans. You get old, you move to Florida, you die, or you take your kids when you're still kind of young enough, right? So we went on a cruise. It might be the same route. It went to like islands in these little tropical islands, but we left from Florida, right? And I remember there was a psychic on the boat, and there was like these newspaper articles. She found murder victims. It's not just like this BS, like this is a real person, telepathic. I sat down with her, and she said this instantly, sir, just so you know, I can see you're a musician, but I see you're a drummer. And I didn't know there was no drumstick necklace. There was no Zildjian hat. And I wasn't like this. She goes, I know you're a drummer, and that's all good. Now you know I'm real. But let's get to the things. For the rest of your life, you need to stay away from water. I'm like, I'm on an effing cruise ship. How am I going to stay away from water? This is on water when she's telling me. I'm like, it's like watching a plane crash movie on an airplane. I'm like, this is not working. What do you mean? She said, I see an accident in the future with you. And I cannot necessarily say if you are going to have the problem or the person you're with. That's the scary thing. And here's the worst thing. Another friend of mine years ago, I just graduated high school, right? And again, you could take this stuff away or not. But how is it possible? A friend of mine, Mickey Revecchio, it was a girl in school, when people graduated, She had a graduation party. We're all drinking beer in the back. And they hired like a psychic to do like palm readings and all this stuff, you know what I mean? But she, again, her name was Petra, and she's kind of famous, right? Dude, she said the same thing. She said, I would advise you in life not to go close to the water. And I don't mean don't take a shower, but do not do anything in the ocean or whatever. 2 people have said that. So how are you going to get me to rock on that 70 tons of metal? What's going to happen? Maybe you could beam me in.
Wow.
True story, though. True story, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Super crazy. Wow.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is the best story to end this live stream, because we have also something like paranormal activity.
Have you watched many of these ghost shows? You know, have you seen these?
No.
Oh, you're not missing anything. Yeah, they have like a computer that actually you can text you can text the ghost. Morning, basta. Yeah.
I think he wants more attention from you.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, daddy, stop it. Give me some attention.
He's like, Dad, stop talking to drummers. Bolognese. I tell you, I got a section in my book called Full-Way Coordination. And it basically starts by saying, you have a left foot, why don't you use it? You know, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and I do like do you know the Joe's Garage album from Zappa?
Yeah. He's with
Watermelon.
Bosio on drums?
No, with Caliuta, Act 2 and 3. It's the best drumming album in history, even though, you know, I prefer Bosio and everything. But that particular album, in my opinion, those 3 albums, because it's part 1, 2, and 3, from the drum sound to the playing to the originality, it's the best drumming album ever. It's ridiculous. On Watermelon and Easter Hay, which is like a beautiful ballad, I got the whole idea from Vinny. Basically, he's playing right hand, left hand, right foot. The hi-hat, it's like, was it you who sat behind Bosio's kit and was pressing pedals and it was like, bing, bong, bing, bong, stuff behind him? Listen to this track, Watermelon, Cacomero in Pasqua Paglie. So what Vinny's doing, he's doing like it's in 9, a 9/4, really long phrase, but in between, he's breathing with the hi-hat. It's incredible. You got to check it out. So my 4-way linear chapter is basically all about doing stuff like that. You got your basic groove, but now you can speak with your left foot, and it's sick. You could do the swish, like you could do. You can let it just like sit, you know. So it's a whole system, but based on what Caliuta did on that track. You have to hear the song; it's beautiful, and you hear what I'm talking about. Yeah,
sure, I will check it. Thank you, bro.
Emiliano, love you, baby. I'll see you whenever I come to Rome. We'll get a real Roman dieta, salta in bocca. You know what I mean? Alla romana.
Sure. Ok ragazzi, allora noi chiudiamo qui questa diretta. Grazie a tutti per essere stati con noi. Vi ricordo che nei commenti trovate i link per il sito di John e per il libro di John. Come sempre questa diretta rimane salvata in podcast sia su Drumworld che sul mio canale YouTube, dove verrà poi ricaricata. Che dire, grazie a tutti ragazzi, buon weekend e buonanotte.
Buonanotte! Emiliano, grazie mille.